Bellator 272, Pettis versus Horiguchi, full card prediction. The main event, obviously, is going to be Sergio Pettis versus Kyoji Horiguchi, the Rising champion versus the Bellator MMA champion. And Kyoji Horiguchi fought for the UFC belt, is also a former Bellator champion. So it's going to be an absolutely amazing main event. 5 rounds of action in that bantamweight division. We got Emmanuel Sanchez and Jeremy Kennedy in the featherweight division. Alfie Davis, JJ Wilson at lightweight. Collin Huckbody and Johnny Eblen at middleweight. Tommy Espinosa, Jornel, Lugo at bantamweight, Jared Scoggins, Josh Hill, also at bantamweight. A lot of bantamweight fights on here. Vinicius, the Jesus, Levan, ChokhelI at middleweight, Mike Hamel, Killys, Mota at lightweight, Bobby King, Alexander Shabliy at lightweight, Kamaka the third, John the Jesus at featherweight, Kyle Crutchmer and Oliver Enkamp. Banger of a fight, very close fight as well in the welterweight division, and a short notice one with Carlyle and Moret, a fight that has been changed so many times already, but the short notice fights are John the Jesus, Kamaka. Originally was supposed to be John the Jesus versus Keone Diggs. Another short notice is Moret versus Carlyle. Was supposed to be Moret, Manuel Nalo, then was supposed to be Moret, Ricardo Seixas, and now he's going to be fighting Carlyle. So there's a lot of different things happening on this fight card. We're going to go from the bottom all the way to the top. If you guys like this video, like the video, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications. Yeah, with that being said, we're going to go on to the first fight right here in the Bellator lightweight division. Carlyle and Moret in the lightweight division. A short notice fight inside of Bellator. The one that's taking the fight on short notice is going to be Carlyle, coming in on about pretty much exactly 1 week's notice. 28 years old, a little bit younger. A lot less in terms of height and in terms of reach, but he's going to be younger. He's going to be faster. He's going to be more powerful, more explosive. The cardio is not really there. The experience isn't on his side as well. So if Moret is going to win the fight, it's going to be mainly like him on the back foot, just kind of putting out the jab, 1-2, and kicking at range. He's got very good body kicks, very good high kicks. Just needs to play the kickboxing game at range. Use that height, use that reach, and use that to get a decision. Needs to stay away from the power and the explosiveness of Carlyle, because he's always going to go out there, put on the pressure, and look for those huge shots. I mean, he went out there, took down Balsamero Dagbador, submitted him, armbar submitted Gil Guardado, then he goes out there and starches JJ Ambrose. So I think a similar thing could definitely happen here. I would not be surprised if it does, but there's two options. Moret at range on the back foot, jabbing a 1-2 into a decision, or Carlyle pressuring the heck out of Moret and then knocking him out in the first or second round. But there's another thing we really have to consider. Is going to be the cardio of Carlyle in that second and third round. I don't know how long it's gonna last in the fight. I know he can do enough to win the first round and win the second round, but will he be able to survive that third and final round and actually end up winning the fight? I don't know. That's why it is a very close fight. It is also short notice, so that increases the chance that his cardio does go downhill. So the tough one to predict, but I'm going to go the underdog as of right now. I mean, not necessarily an underdog, but the guy coming in on short notice, which is going to be Carlyle. More explosive, he's faster, he's more powerful, and I think he keeps the cardio alive long enough to win the first and second round and win the fight by decision right there. A very good fight in the lightweight division. Kyle Crutchmer and Oliver and going to be having a crazy 9-inch reach advantage and a 3-inch height advantage. He's actually going to be the favorite on the Tapology predictions with 80% of the votes. It's going to be absolutely insane. 10 wins and 2 losses, beating Emmanuel by submission, beating Lewis Long by knockout, and then Walter Gahaza by rear naked choke submission. But it's going to be a very, very tough fight in my opinion. He's coming off a win over Levan ChokhelI, who's also on the card. Scott Futuro, Robert Gidron, and then John Weston. Only losing to Cameron Lachinov, a very solid guy. Whereas Oliver Enkamp only losing to Danny Roberts and then Nordine Taleb, 2 UFC caliber fighters. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very tough fight. I think the odds need to be 50-50. -110, -110 is exactly what those betting odds should be in my opinion. very tough fight for a guy like me to predict, because on one side you got a guy that's a very good wrestler, and Kyle Crutchmer could definitely go out there, just get the back, get Oliver Enkamp's back to the cage, double leg him, grind upon him, just grind out a very nasty decision in there. That's definitely a possibility for Kyle Crutchmer. On the other hand, we do know Oliver Enkamp. I believe he switched gyms not too long ago. Trying to remember the name of the gym. I'm not too sure what the name is, but he definitely is going to a much better gym now that's really focusing on that takedown defense. I know the takedown defense is going to be a lot better this time around fighting a guy like Kyle Crutchmer. He's going to be taller, he's going to be lengthier, he's going to be way better in terms of the striking. It's tough. It's a very tough one. Again, I can see Kyle dominating Oliver Enkamp. Either way, if Kyle wins or if Oliver wins, I think it's going to be a domination. If Kyle wins, it's going to be a wrestling and grappling domination. If Oliver wins, he's going to be defending all of the takedowns, keeping the fight on the feet, and dominating Kyle Crutchmer on the feet. So it's a very tough one, but I'm going to go with this Swedish guy right here in Oliver Enkamp to win the fight. Only 2 losses to Danny Roberts and Nordine Taleb. He didn't have the best takedown defense in his last few fights, but that was a year, 2 years ago. I think it has improved. I think he'll defend most of the takedowns and outstrike Kyle Crutchmer on the feet and win the fight by a decision right there. Really good fight in the welterweight division. Kai Kamaka III and John DeJesus in the featherweight division. John DeJesus, pretty solid kickboxer. Really good front kicks, really good body kicks, leg kicks, all of that type of stuff. Kind of lays off the gas a little bit later on in the fight, the third, second round. He's got a little bit of gas left in him, but he doesn't really put out the same effort that he does in the first round. He always goes out there very hard in that first round, looking for front kicks, head kicks, side kicks, just really big shots early on. Kind of gasses a little bit, and it isn't able to keep on that kind of pace in the later rounds. Coming off a nice win over John Teixeira in his last fight, that was a solid win. Beating Vladislav Pavlyuchenko as well, which is also a very solid win. Only losing inside of Bellator to Aaron Pico. So that's a not that bad of a guy to be losing to inside of Bellator. He's going to be 2 inches taller and have a 7-inch reach advantage over Kai Kamaka III. So that could definitely play in handy for John DeJesus right here. But it's a very close fight in my opinion. I do believe Kai Kamaka III should do enough to win the fight. He's a little bit younger, moving from the UFC, where he didn't do that good, beating Tony Kelly in the UFC, then losing to Jonathan Pierce, barely losing to TJ Brown, and beating Danny Chavez, but he lost a point, so ended up losing that one, or it was a draw actually. Yeah, I do believe Kai Kamaka III, even with the height and reach discrepancies, he definitely is the more, I wouldn't say more powerful guy, but the more volume type of guy. He doesn't really have any knockouts on his record, just going out there to land volume, and win on the judges' scorecards, while also mixing in a takedown here and there. So I believe John DeJesus is going to be looking to keep the fight at range, keep it out of a wrestling and grappling type of game plan, and Kai is just going to look to pressure, land that volume, and mix in the takedown. So I don't necessarily think the odds are still the same at like -200 for Kai Kamaka. Yeah, -200 seems a little bit much. -190 is a little bit more like it, but it's a decently close fight because I can definitely see the underdog in John DeJesus literally just keeping range, staying away from the pressure and volume, defending the takedowns, and winning the fight. But overall, I do think that Kai Kamaka III should do enough to win. He's got a lot more volume in the tank. He got a little bit more gas tank as well. Has the better wrestling, and he can definitely mix in a little bit of clinch work as well. So I'm going to go Kai Kamaka III to win the fight by a 29-28 decision. One round, I would say, goes John DeJesus just because of that height and reach, just striking a range for that one round. Really good fight in the featherweight division. Alexander Shabliy and Bobby King in the lightweight division. Probably my, I would say, second most confident pick of the card, just right behind Jornel Lugo in my opinion. But Alexander Shabliy, 20 wins and 3 losses, is going to be way younger, about 9 years younger than Bobby King. Same height and pretty much the same reach at -400 on those betting odds. He's 96th best lightweight fighter in the world, beating Alfie Davis, who's also on the card, Adriano Martins, a very solid win, and then many other guys. Only losing to guys that he's getting split decision losses to, or just back in way 2013, 2011. But yeah, this dude is the real deal. Very solid kickboxer. kickboxing, really good striking at range. Definitely is going to have the better wrestling and grappling than Bobby King, where he can definitely mix that in as well. But I would say his main MO to win his fights is going to be the striking. But fighting a guy like Bobby King was a little bit out-grappled against Nick Newell, a guy without a hand or an arm, I believe. If you're able to get out-grappled by that guy, Alexander Shabliy should be able to do the exact same thing. He won't really need to. He's going to beat him on the striking anyways, but he can definitely mix in the grappling and wrestling as well. I don't know how many times Bobby King has been finished in his career. Third round knockout loss, and then a decision loss. So it's a very tough one to predict that this fight's going to be a knockout win from Alexander Shabliy, a submission win, or a decision win. I really don't know how Shabliy is going to win. I don't know. It's a very tough one. I think Bobby King is a tough guy. I think he'll survive most of the shots on the feet. He's not, Alexander Shabliy is not the most powerful guy in terms of the striking. It isn't the best grappler to be able to go out there, beat him, and get the rear naked. So I think the fight goes to a decision, and Alexander Shabliy wins every single round at 30-27, being the better striker, the better clincher, the better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, the better wrestler. Literally better in every facet of the game. So I'm definitely going Alexander Shabliy to win the fight by a 30-27 unanimous decision. Really good fight in the lightweight division. Mike Hamel and Killys Mota in the lightweight division. A very, very close fight. If you look at the betting odds are right here, if I can find them. Minus 135 for Killys Mota, and then plus 115, plus 120 for Mike Hamel right there. It's a very, very close fight. Because on one hand, of course, we got a guy with a 2-inch height advantage, a 3-inch reach advantage, fighting at a Teixeira Fitness with guys like Glover Teixeira, also guys like Rafael Villano, who's inside of the LFA. Who's the other guy? It doesn't show in here, but I believe that the greatest kickboxer of all time also goes to that gym. Damn, Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. That's the guy I'm thinking about. But yeah, he's 31 years old, 12 wins, 2 losses. Very, very solid striking. Leg kick knockout win on Nalo. Submitted Bobby Lee, and then many, many other wins right there. Not most of those are against the best competition. Once he joined Bellator, got a couple of losses. Lost to Austin Hubbard and to Derek Henderson. But those two guys are very, very legit guys. Austin Hubbard is in the UFC, a LFA champion. Derek Anderson, coming off fights with Michael Venom Page, Brent Primus, Marcin Held, Derek Campos, and beating Patrick Pitbull as well inside of there. So not a bad loss by any means right there. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Killys Mota better in the early rounds with the kickboxing, very, very solid striking, the height, the reach, all that. But once it gets to those later rounds, his cardio starts to diminish a little bit. His takedown defense gets worse and worse. His striking gets worse and worse. And Mike Hamel just seems to get better and better. So it's a very, very tough one. Because I believe Killys Mota wins the first round. I believe Mike Hamel wins the third round. I just don't know who's going to win that second round. How long will the cardio of Killys Mota hold up? And how long till Mike Hamel lands at that takedown? I really don't know how long it's going to take. So I'm gonna go Mike Hamel very reluctantly. This isn't definitely not a fight I'm going to be 100% confident that Mike is going to win the fight. It's a very, very 50-50 fight. I believe it should be minus 110 because it's very unpredictable on who's going to win. Either way, I think whoever wins is going to be a 29-28 decision, where it's really going to come down to that second round. First round goes Killys, third round goes Mike Hamel. Second round, who really knows, but I'm going to go Mike Hamel because he definitely has the cardio advantage and he's going to put on that wrestling later on in the fight. So I'm going to go Mike Hamel to win the fight by a 29-28 decision. Really good fight in the lightweight division. Vinicius de Jesus and Levan ChokhelI in the middleweight division. Vinicius de Jesus with 9 wins and 4 losses in the prime of his MMA career right there. Going to be a little bit smaller by 3 inches, but had the same exact reach as Levan ChokhelI. It's a very, very tough one. Levan hasn't had a win in quite a while, getting a weird decision on Konrad Dershka right there, then losing a unanimous on Kyle Crutchmer, who's also fighting on the card, whereas his opponent Vinicius de Jesus losing to absolute beast in the Bellator Octagon, or I don't know, is it a Decepticon? I don't know what it's called, but losing to Jaleel Willis and Austin Vanderford, both by unanimous decision. The other guys he lost to, Jefferson Negrini right there, who's a 11 and 0. This man should probably have been in the UFC, but he retired in 2015. That is the first guy I lost to. Then it was Joaquin Buckley by a split decision. I mean, that is just absolutely insane. Then he joins the UFC, knocks out Enkamp, Jordan Wright, and Antonio Arroyo. That's another loss of his. Jalil Willis inside of Bellator right now, and then Austin Vanderford. So all of the losses from Vincent De Jesus are to absolute beasts. That's really all I gotta say. But Levan ChokhelI is probably gonna have the volume advantage, the cardio advantage, and the chin advantage. Definitely goes Vincent De Jesus. The striking is pretty even. Again, I'm gonna go Levan ChokhelI ever so slightly in the striking, but I do believe Vinicius could pour on that striking later on in the fight. Early on in the fight, Levan ChokhelI definitely has that striking advantage, and that is where Vinicius is definitely going to be looking to have more of a clinching wrestling game plan early on in the fight. Later on, once Levan is tired, that's when you start to put on that striking game plan after he's tired with the grappling and wrestling. But overall, early on in the fight, I think Vincent De Jesus kind of keeps the fight very even on the feet, mixes in the wrestling and grappling, tires out Levan ChokhelI for the later rounds, and then ends up winning those later rounds due to the cardio disadvantage from Levan ChokhelI. It is a very, very close fight, but I'm going to go for the guy that's only losing to 11-0 UFC Bellator fighters and Vincent De Jesus. I haven't seen Levan ChokhelI beat any legit competition. If you look at all of the wins he's had, 5-0 was the best win. Isakov right there, who recently just got another loss against Mohamed Grabinski right there. So I don't think he wins the fight. I do think that Vincent De Jesus is a very underrated guy. Plus 160 is crazy. I believe they kind of fixed the odds after that, because plus 160 for this man was absolutely insane. Let's see if I can find it. Crutchmer, that's not the one. Vincent De Jesus, yeah, it's a very, very close one now. Plus 105, plus 106, and then minus 130. So I'm going to go with the underdog. Very, very slight at that. And Vincent De Jesus, he's just the better overall fighter. Only losing to UFC, really, really Bellator caliber fighters. Not a guy that is 0-1 in Bellator. Just got absolutely destroyed. So I'm going to go Vincent De Jesus by a 30-27 unanimous decision. I don't give any rounds to Levan ChokhelI right there. Really good fight in the middleweight division. Josh Hill and Jared Scoggins in the bantamweight division, minus 115 and minus 105. Very, very close fight. The favor as of right now is going to be Josh Hill, but in my opinion, I think the line should be switched around. Jared Scoggins, being the younger guy, being a little bit taller, a little bit lengthier, is definitely going to be having the striking advantage over Josh Hill, who just really does not have the best striking. He got a good chin. I mean, he comes forward, eats some shots, and lands some shots of his own, but overall I do think the better striker is going to be Jared Scoggins with 10 wins and 1 loss, coming off some very, very solid wins, couple of knockouts here and there, but neither guy is really that knockout type of guy. Josh Hill also has a couple of finishes here and there, mainly by ground upon TKO and submission, but he's not going to do that against Jared Scoggins. Jared Scoggins also has very good wrestling and grappling. I wouldn't say it's better than Josh Hill. Josh Hill's a veteran. He's a lot stronger. He's a little bit bigger than Jared, so I do think that Josh Hill will have the grappling and wrestling advantage, but overall, I do believe Jared Scoggins will be able to defend the takedowns, stay out of those clinch situations where Josh Hill is definitely going to have the advantage, and keep the fight at range. I mean, we're going to see some grappling and wrestling here and there. That is going to be what Josh Hill needs to do to win the fight, but overall, I think Jared Scoggins is going to have the advantage in the striking, and use the hiding reach to just jab 1-2, stay on the outside, stay away from the takedown, stay away from the clinch, and win the fight by decision. It's a very, very close one. As I said before, I do believe the line should be switched, but it probably should be at like minus 110 and minus 110. A very, very close fight for two guys that are very, very solid in the lower weight classes of the bantamweight and flyweight division. But I'm going to go Jared Scoggins. I can see Josh Hill winning, but I know they're trying to push the younger guy right here. Bellator never wants the older, aging veterans like Josh Hill to win. They want Jared to go out there and get a name off of Josh Hill, get in the rankings for bantamweight, and just climb up that ladder. So I'm going to go for Jared Scoggins to win the fight by a 29-28 decision, winning 2 of the rounds by outstriking Josh Hill and losing 1 round by getting out-grappled and out-wrestled due to the sheer size of Josh Hill. But really good fight in the bantamweight division. Jornel Lugo and Tommy Espinosa in the bantamweight division. My most confident pick of the card, 26 and 3 days old, a little bit taller, heck of a lot lengthier. I mean, what do you want me to say? He's losing to Gerald Hodge 7-3, and then Andre Baquero Morera, who is 5-1. He's beating some decent guys, I would say, in his career so far. But Jornel Lugo is by far the better fighter. Minus 720 is of course where it should be. Guillotine, knockout, decision, joins Bellator, beats an undefeated fighter, beats a 5-1 guy, then he goes out there and destroys Keith Lee, submitting him with literally no time left on the clock. Absolutely insane. But Jornel is way better in the striking. He's got the height, he's got the reach, he's gonna keep range, go in and out very, very well on the feet. Then he's gonna mix in a takedown, get the fight down, and then he's gonna submit Tommy Espinosa. It is as simple as that. I mean, he's coming off a loss by Garada on TKO. If Gerald Hodge can get him down like that, Jornel Lugo can do the exact same thing. My prediction for that fight, Jornel Lugo getting the takedown, destroying him on the feet, destroying him on the ground, and getting a rear naked choke submission. Really good fight in the bantamweight division. Johnny Eblen and Collin Huckbody in the middleweight division. The odds are a little bit crazy. Minus 1,000 to plus 625. He's going to be taller. He's going to be lengthier in Collin Huckbody. The wrestling and grappling, I would definitely say, goes Johnny Eblen. The striking, very, very slightly, I would say, goes Collin Huckbody. So I personally think the odds should be like minus 250, minus 300 for Johnny Eblen. I definitely still think Johnny Eblen's going to win. He's got very, very good wrestling and grappling, getting so many decision wins over Chauncey Foxworth, Mario Alonso, Taylor Johnson, and then Travis Davis, and a couple of submission and gratifying TKOs as well. So I'm definitely going to go Johnny Eblen to win the fight over Collin Huckbody, but Collin definitely has a good chance of winning. He's got a good triangle choke submission, getting an arm triangle, arm triangle, arm triangle, arm triangle, arm triangle, and a rear naked choke. So if this fight somehow goes the distance, goes to 3 full rounds, there's going to be a lot of time in there for Johnny Eblen to gas out, going for his own finish, and then Collin Huckbody get on top for a split second and latch in an arm triangle or a rear naked choke submission. That is why it's a much closer fight. Collin's got the submission game, got a good submission from the bottom. He can definitely out cardio Johnny Eblen a little bit and win in the later rounds by a submission. It's definitely possible. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I just don't think it should be minus 1,000. That's absolutely nuts. But yeah, I'm gonna go Johnny Eblen to go out there, out wrestle and out grapple Collin Huckbody for 3 straight rounds to a 30-27 decision. But again, there's that possibility of Collin Huckbody coming back with the cardio disadvantage for Johnny Eblen and submitting Johnny in the later rounds. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it's possible to happen. So I'm going to go Johnny Eblen to win, but just don't parlay. That's crazy odds for a parlay. But yeah, I got Johnny Eblen by 30-27 unanimous decision. Really good fight in the middleweight division right there. JJ Wilson and Alfie Davis in the lightweight division. One of my most confident picks of the card. My 3 most confident are Jornel Lugo, Alexander Shabliy, and then JJ Wilson right here. I'm definitely going to go for him to win the fight. 24.5 years old, same height, and a 4-inch reach advantage. On the feet, he's going to absolutely destroy Alfie Davis, in my opinion. Alfie, he might be a little bit bigger of a fighter as JJ is moving from featherweight to lightweight, but JJ is a little bit lengthier, is a little bit more powerful than Alfie Davis, as Alfie literally just does not have any finishes on his record. There's a couple of them early on in his career, but recently, yeah, there's literally like no finishes right there. But overall, I think this fight is mainly going to be a striking fight for the beginning portion, and then JJ Wilson will implement the wrestling and grappling game plan. I don't think Alfie Davis is going to win. If he's going to win, it's going to be a fluke knockout or something like that, or maybe a guillotine after JJ takes him down. But JJ's grappling is too good to get caught in a submission, and JJ's a little bit lengthier. He's got way better striking than Alfie, so I don't see him knocking him out. I see JJ just piecing Alfie Davis up in the striking, mixing in the takedowns, and winning the fight by decision. I think he dominates on the ground. I think he dominates on the feet. Wherever this fight goes, definitely going to go JJ Wilson to win the fight. Really good fight in the lightweight division. Emmanuel Sanchez and Jeremy Kennedy in the featherweight division. They're both coming off of losses, of course, to Adam Boric and then Patricio Pitbull and Maz Burnell. That Maz Burnell loss was very controversial because I believe Emmanuel Sanchez showed very solid takedown defense against one of the best wrestlers and grapplers at featherweight, and I believe Emmanuel Sanchez did win the fight. I mean, he didn't defend all of the takedowns, but Masvidal wasn't able to do anything with those takedowns. Jeremy Kennedy is a much worse grappler and wrestler than Masvidal, and I definitely do think that if Emmanuel was able to fend off the submissions, fend off most of the takedowns from Mads, he will be able to do the same on Jeremy Kennedy, which leads me to believe this fight is going to be mainly a striking fight, and in that case, Emmanuel Sanchez with a volume, the amount of strikes he lands is way better boxing, way better kickboxing. He's going to absolutely destroy Jeremy Kennedy here, so in my opinion, I'm going to go Emmanuel Sanchez. I think he defends the takedowns, keeps the fight on the feet, comes forward with constant pressure, lands way more volume, way more shots going to be landed for Emmanuel Sanchez, and I do think he wins a fight by unanimous decision. Really good fight in the featherweight division. Sergio Pettis and Kyoji Horiguchi in the bantamweight division. Very close fight. 31 years old and then 28 years old. Sergio is going to be 3 inches lengthier and then 1 inch taller than Kyoji Horiguchi on a 4-fight win streak, beating some very solid guys. Tyson Am in the UFC, Alfred Kasakian inside of Bellator, Ricky Bandejas, and then Juan Archuleta, also beating guys like Brandon Moreno, John Moraga, and then Joseph Benavidez, only losing to a champion in Henry Cejudo right there. It wasn't necessarily for the belt, but it was a double champion in Henry Cejudo, also losing to Jussier Formiga, former top 5 flyweight, and then Rob fought a current top 5 bantamweight, Ryan Benoit, another UFC guy, Alex Caceres, another UFC guy, so he's losing a very legit competition. Kyoji Horiguchi is also losing to very legit competition. One of them was early on against a 14-1-2 guy in Masakatsu Ueda. Then it was to Demetrius Johnson for the UFC flyweight belt, wins 3 more fights in a row, and instead of deciding to fight for the belt again, he just goes on a rise and absolutely destroys people over there in Ryzen, beating Manel Kopp, Ian McCall, and many other guys. Darion Caldwell inside of Ryzen, Ben Eugen, and then Darion Caldwell yet again for the Bellator bantamweight belt. He was an actual Bellator champion, then he lost to Kai, then he rematched that one. So yeah, he's definitely a more powerful guy than Sergio Pettis. He's got a way more power than Sergio, but the wrestling and grappling goes Sergio, the volume goes Sergio, the technique goes Sergio, the height and reach goes Sergio. So there's so many advantages in my opinion that are going Sergio. The main advantage is Kyoji Horiguchi's power. If he can keep on the pressure here, come forward, land that power consistently throughout the 5 rounds, he can definitely win the fight. But I think Sergio Pettis, what we saw in the last fight with Juan Archuleta, his striking defense has got a lot better. His striking at range, really good jab, really good right straight, really good leg kicks, body kicks, all of that type of stuff, and he can mix in the wrestling and grappling later on in the fight. So it's a very close one right here. Originally, I was going Kyoji Horiguchi, but after a little bit of tape study, watching at least the last 10 fights of Sergio Pettis, I probably didn't need to go that far back, but definitely watching the last couple of them. Sergio Pettis, I believe he's going to outstrike Kyoji Horiguchi at range. He's not, I mean, he's going to get hit with the more powerful shots, but he's going to be landing more volume, and with the mixing in of the takedowns, I do believe Sergio Pettis should definitely win the fight. But this fight for the UFC Bellator, the Bellator bantamweight champion, not the UFC bantamweight champion, but yeah, I'm going to go Sergio Pettis. I believe he outstrikes on the feet at range, mixes in the takedowns, and wins the fight by a decision. I can see Kyoji winning. It's a very close fight, but I'm going to go Sergio Pettis by a unanimous decision right there. Very good fight in the Bellator bantamweight division. Hey guys, that is my full card prediction for Bellator 272, Pettis versus Horiguchi. I got Sergio Pettis by a decision, Emmanuel Sanchez decision, JJ Wilson decision, Johnny Eblen decision, Jornel Lugo submission, I would guess. Jared Scoggins decision, Vincent DeJesus decision, Mike Hamel decision, Alexander Shabliy decision, Kai Kamaka the third decision, Oliver Enkamp by a decision, and then Spike Carlyle most likely by knockout. I can see a decision as well, but of course a couple of these fights will be knockouts. We're not going to see most of them being decisions, but we shall see. I think most of them will be decisions, but there will be a couple of finishes here and there. But cannot wait for Bellator 272, Pettis versus Horiguchi. Like the video, subscribe, everything like that, and we'll see you in the next video. Let's go.